camera. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. At least those in the U.S. and other countries that celebrate all over the place. I know Canada is usually well ahead of us. And it changes, so. But happy Thanksgiving. I've got my duck out here getting warmed up. It's been out here for a little while, getting warmed up to room temp. That's been sitting in the fridge after I dealt with that last stream. Also got the bread stuffing in the fridge still. Those will go into the oven actually together. And yeah, so let's get coffee going first. There's a ton of stuff to do tonight. I went and bought the same scotch that I bought last year, which is not an overly expensive bottle. It's not a cheap bottle at the same time. Did I end up grinding coffee? I did. Hi, Cosmic. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Totally didn't bump the camera there. That didn't happen. Nice, Buns. First time I filled it with this. So, want to make sure and empty it out and clean it out. The sugar container, that is, that I'm talking about. So what disconnected there? Probably the camera again. Getting audio from everything. Getting audio from everything. I've got all three of my cameras. Huh. My Stream Deck is working. I've said that a couple of times, Bun Buns. I seem to be imitating them lately. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Showing off my instructions and everything here. Why don't we do something like that for right now? Alright, getting things started here. Let's start our oven at 400. Squash. Delicata is a squash that you can actually leave the skin on, which I intend to do. I'm not cutting that exactly even, obviously, but it'll do. Empty out the seeds into the trash since I don't feel like keeping them for anything. Just taking a spoon and going in, loosening everything up. You don't have to worry too much about any of the strings or anything. I'm getting most of them here, but like, I'm not worried about that. Most of that's going to even completely roast off the way I'm going to cook this. So I've never found it to be an issue. I'm just trying to get the seeds really out there. I thought I had loosened it up entirely. It went. Disconnect. There we go. But if you're in a household with someone that absolutely loves snackable foods, you're not going to throw away those seeds, are you? You're maybe going to give them a rinse off, toss them with some oil and some seasonings, and give them a light roast. Taking the stems out here. And then I'm going to quarter and large chop. As I said, I'm leaving the skin on. Although I don't necessarily enjoy eating it with the skin. I think having it this size, it'll still be sort of easily removable from the skin. olive oil, or in my case, cooking oil, because I don't have any olive oil out. Doesn't really matter for this, it's a rather high heat cook anyways. As I mentioned before, I have the oven heating to 400. Salt. Pepper. And dried herb mix. Italian dried herb mix of oregano and basil and marjoram and sage. Set that aside for later. There we go. And put this in the oven. Out of parchment. Guess we gotta go without tonight. I am going to roast them skin side down. In the oven they go. I had 2 of these. The other one didn't fare as well. I washed this one off, that's why it's looking a little. smacked potato. Oh hey, I should probably set a timer for that squash. And okay, so it doesn't have to be small, but I'm leaving the skin on as usual. So I cut mine pretty small to make the pieces of skin rather small. This easily could be cut same size as the sweet potato. I am, however, going to remove whatever that is. Look at that, it's like veins going out into it. Cover with cold water. Oh, hey, I didn't cut up all my potatoes. I'll leave it up to you whether you consider the beer water or not. It's sort of like, does coffee count when I have water over here? So I generally reach for the water every time hydrate goes. But regardless of what you're drinking, caffeine, alcohol, you should be drinking water too. Wine, milk, don't care. Drink some water too. You ever notice at the dinner table there's a water glass and a drink glass? Or maybe even multiple drink glasses, depending on if it's a wine type dinner. Can have all sorts of glasses on the table. Turn the fan on for the first time tonight. Alright, let's see here. Next projects, we gotta get that duck ready to go in the oven. Gotta get the duck ready to go in the oven. I think I might be able to squeeze it in this baby. I think I might be able to squeeze it in there. You notice I'm cooking the squash a bit early. It's because I have to cook it at a much higher roasting temperature to get some nice roasting going on. And I'll re-throw it back in there to warm it back up for with the rest of dinner. Everything else is going to be cooking at a bit lower temp. And this is just the typical, you cooking enough things. I mean, that's the reality of restaurants, much less busy home kitchens is, the design of menus around what equipment you need. How many things you can throw in an oven, how many pizzas you can cook in your wood-fired oven at once. Okay. Rambling. So we have our lovely cast iron here. I am going to start by cutting up. I'm going to cut up this orange. And half a sweetened onion. Small little sweet onion here. If only because I didn't really have a planned use for the other half. As in, I needed a half of a sweet onion, and so I'm roasting the other half because I didn't have another plan for it. So we'll use half this bit later. Now let's take the skin off now. And so, not a complete coverage, but enough that the duck is not going to sit directly down on the pan. It's going to be held up by the rest of that. Let's see here. Let's move my coffee. Move the onion we're going to use later. Bring the star of the show over here. Start by pulling out the neck. And let's see what else we got in here. I plan to roast all of these. They can add lovely flavor to our... Oh, they gave us most everything there. That's quite impressive. We've got liver. That's heart, I believe. And two rather mismatched kidneys maybe there? Or not kidneys, but escaping me. And so I'm going to cut off the excess neck fat here. But I'll also roast that off with everything else. And I'm going to pull out my kitchen shears and I'm going to spatchcock this. regardless of my ability to identify each of them. Alright, so go through all of these. Almost all of these. In the pan. There's a lot of bones here, so direct contact I'm not going to worry about with that, since I don't plan on picking apart the neck. I know some people absolutely love the neck. It's more work than What I should do sometime is do a turkey neck or a duck neck or what have you neck stew. Just braise them long enough that they just fall apart, and you can pull out the pieces you don't want. And there we go. And the skin. I talked before about poaching it and tightening it up a bit. I'm going to not do that now. After further consideration, further reading. I'm going to leave it with the same setup that I did before, minus what little moisture we just got on there and tried to remove. And I am going to, however, puncture the skin. I'm going to grab a skewer. Forgot that my scissors have chicken shmoo on them, and I got chicken shmoo on the bag of this, and so I'm going to try and pour these out without it getting to the chicken shmoo part of the bag. Or duck shmoo. Sorry. I was incorrect. So let's use this and hopefully just mostly breaking into the skin and the fat of the bird. Don't want to go down into the meat. I was talking about cross-hatching. You could cross-hatch this to achieve the same sort of... Duck is a beautiful bird. It's actually quite different from many other. It's not chicken, it's not turkey. It's got a much more irony, a much more heavier, much more, almost more developed animal meatiness to it. That said, if you get a wild one, you can get some real gaminess in them, but the commercially done ones are not too bad. Of course we're live dances. And so for those who were watching the other night, no, this is already pretty well coated in salt and soy, so I'm not going to add any more seasoning to this right now. I am going to, however, paint on a bit more soy just before we throw it in the oven. And look at that, that just fits beautifully in that pan. Give me one moment and I'll show you. Wash my hands, get my heavily contaminated products out from in front of me. This doesn't need 12 hours. It's been in the fridge for almost 48, allowing it to dry out a bit. Welcome back, Raftwitch. And so we have our duck. No, this is going to take more like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to lean closer to an hour. We're waiting for that squash to be cooked before we throw this bird in there. Though this is certainly not a turkey. This is not... There are turkeys that can take a long time to cook. And isn't barbecue either. It isn't doing a brisket. Now that's... The people that put themselves through making true barbecue like that and running a place, running a barbecue place, at least a well done one, I don't know how they function in life. Like, the idea of doing brisket barbecue and managing a store that does brisket barbecues, it's a 24-hour job. So I'm going to start in on prepping our apples for our crumble. I don't know why I keep this bowl over here. This bowl is dirty. Well, you can either do that or you can get tools that aren't as harsh on your Teflon. But yeah, Teflon is really tough to keep nice. Even people who I've seen dedicated to keeping their small little omelet pans that are Teflon perfect and running nice, or they still go. The whole idea, I mean, Teflon is designed not to stick to anything, or by nature it does not stick to anything. Although there is nothing natural about Teflon. It's one of those last forever chemicals. I don't know if I had cast iron pans have never been sloped nicely like a proper saute pan back in the past. Like, you would have angled like skillet pans. Modern day powdered metal cast iron, maybe? My very honest answer to that, Rev, is that I don't know the market well enough these days. You have a lot of new competition coming out there because Teflon is becoming very hard to produce, or is not produced. And so you have a lot of alternatives that are not necessarily good alternatives. And I have no idea which ones are the good ones, which ones are the bad ones, which of the ones actually work, which are the ones with actual true science, and not just marketing. Hence why I am cooking with cast iron. That, and I have a gas stove, which I like gas. They say that these are bad for the environment, so I think that's a little needle in the haystack. Or causing massive gas spills, oil spills, etc., etc. Well, maybe you can blame the oil spills, but the natural gas stuff is usually more heating. And I've put my foot in my mouth. But anyways. by talking and not thinking about what I was saying there. Though it does look like the most recent vote in Brazil is at least somewhat hopeful for the environment, but we'll see. With coconut oil, you can certainly use it on a regular basis with coconut oil. I'm not sure how it does for curing a pan. What I would actually suggest for curing a pan is not an oil that I would suggest cooking with whatsoever. But if you are actually doing a proper cure, had to actually look at the bottle to make sure I knew and remembered, is flax. Which flax is not a good oil to be cooking with as far as food on a normal basis. But flaxseed oil for doing an initial cure on a pan, it's very good for making a nice cure. And then you can go on to coconut oil. But that's the whole, you're going to put it in an oven, set it to 500, smoke up your whole house, set off the fire alarm, and let it sit in there for a long time. That's the which you want to look up. Don't go off of just what I'm saying here for that. You want to look that up properly. Well, you're putting on a rather thin layer of oil into it, and it's baking into the iron itself. If you notice, actually, with the whole cooking process, with the proper curing process, just like you are when you coat something with oil, it turns shiny. When you're done doing this whole process, it's not only black, but it's a flat black. It's like a dull black. Sort of like Teflon looks like. It's not very shiny. It's black, but yeah. I don't know, maybe the camera makes mine look a little more shiny than they are in real life. Let me take a look at how shiny they look on camera. Because my pans are not all that shiny. This one's got a bit of shine to the handle right next to me here that I've got the duck in. But yeah, if you look at the center of that one, it's sort of flat black compared to the outsides of it. The outsides of it are very shiny. That's just residual oil. But if you look in the center of that, where it's sort of flat black, you can for this bad boy, you can see where there's a little bit of oil there. I feel sorry for that child. Parents coming up with names like that. I have a feeling. They were maybe less sweet than they are now, but there was a great diversity in them that we have lost. There's a lot of variety of apples that could have been done for so many different things than just sweet, easy eating, which, by the way, also comes with easy to last at the supermarket from most of these brands. So I would say, yes, less sweet, but likely less flavorful too. It's like there was one apple that Luther Burbank was a big dude here in Sonoma County and big dude in plant breeding in general. And one of the things he was working on was a apple that was more likely used for feed and that, but the flavor of it could be cooked down, stewed down, and added to sweet things. All you have to do is look at the origins of corn. Corn is very much human intervention or involvement, changing something that was essentially a grass into what we eat today. I don't know if I want to do all three of these. I think I'm going to leave one of these. I'm not going to use that knife. But I do need to get these cut. Look here. Great, Trigger. We got the squash just about done in the oven. Just about ready to put the duck in there. And oops. Reached down there and basically threw my towel into the oven. But there's our roast squash. Well, if you do trigger, thank you for hanging out with me for a couple minutes, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you for your service. Depends on the application, felines. At home, I typically make flour ones, but that's ease and my lack of knowledge and ability to make my own masa, regardless of there being easy packs you can buy at the supermarket. And knowing it's a process involving lye, I believe, to process harder corns into something much more palatable. Tacos? Tacos, it depends on the quality of the joint. If they're just using pre-made, already aged shells, or they're making them fresh. They're making them fresh corn. Otherwise, I typically go for flour. Flour is the lazy choice in just about all cases because it's better when it's not fresh and it's easier to make. But a properly done fresh corn one does beat it. Enchiladas, I'd probably take corn as well. Or any type of dish where it's like a smothered ordeal. I also don't know the history, how much flour is European versus non-Latino influence on Spanish cooking, whether it be Mexican or Spain or other locations. We're working on that right now. Greek, welcome in. How you doing tonight? We got a tray of squash up there that I've roasted. I'm working on mixing up a apple crumble, which I need to throw in the oven at the same time as the duck, so I'm a little bit behind on getting the crumble done here. Which is pausing me putting the duck in. And it's a thing where the crumble will most likely be able to hang out in the oven much longer without a major detriment compared to the duck. In my childhood, it was all over the place. Everything from my dad trying to get me to do oatmeal to the things that I sort of wanted and just about every kid wants, which are the things that you probably shouldn't be eating for breakfast, to my mom just trying to get something healthy in my mouth before early high school days. I get the impression that school starts much later than it did when I was going, at least in high school. Yep, it's a lot of work, and the general public doesn't respect it. They don't understand it. They don't know why it's worth that extra work. They just see it as more expensive. Turn my fan on. I don't have my fan on. And then if you had band or certain sports, would actually be even before school started. What all do I want to throw in here with my lovely apples? I think I want to do actually a bit more sugar since I've got some tartar apples here. I'm thinking maybe a little of the last of my traces of fennel would not be horrible in this. It's not my choice though. I'm going to go for a little apple brandy with our apples. Don't really have much apple brandy left, but I'll save what I have. You prefer them less chewy, more crispy? I mean, I had some fresh nutmeg in there. Or at least freshly grated nutmeg. I'm not sure why I just went to put my nutmeg back into that drawer, but I did. We need some butter in there. Wow, this is the first time in a long time I've gotten a stick of butter where the paper was too stuck into the butter that it almost wanted to tear, or that it did tear. I don't know if hate vegetables is the word. Depends on the veggies in many cases. I'm just going to do a pinch of salt. And by pinch, I mean small pinch of salt. Just to heighten all those flavors. Sugar does a pretty good job of that to start with, but sort of need a little bit of both if you want all the flavor. Render is a term for cooking down fats to their liquid form. And so in this case, it would be slow cooking of fat in whatever form it is. With bacon, you cook it longer. You render the fat out. You cook the fat out of it. I guess Dances could have answered that question. It was directed to him anyways. Him, her, them. Wow. I cook mine much longer than that. I usually do 18 to 20 depending on the thickness at 400 degrees. And I like crispy bacon, so that is well done bacon. Absolutely felines. So these are still waiting till I put everything else in there. And we're waiting on this for that, so I need to finish up with this. We need flour. We need oats. We still already have sugar. Let's add some brown sugar to the mix. Yeah, let's do a little more than that. I don't know, are you eating it raw? Are you eating a cured, often smoked product raw? I'm just trying to get all the last of this sugar, which does seem to be sticking to this bag quite a bit. It's a salt cure. It's been set in a combination of salt and other curing agents. Some of them people want to claim are cancerous causing. Many of them are claiming that they don't have them, but are just putting celery salt in there, which is essentially the same thing. So technically, while I don't suggest you eat bacon raw, especially since there's uncured bacons out there for sale, it should technically be safe just straight out of the package in many cases. Color. It's not just the salt, it's the other parts. The salt does it too, but it's a preservation technique. I mean, it's a... Bacon doesn't go bad nearly as fast. Yes, but mostly it's using the magic of osmosis, which actually is something that's used in cooking. Osmosis is something that exists in cooking, where essentially by soaking an object in salt water, that object tends to exchange the waters in it for the salt water. It's also the same thing that happens when you candy fruits and you boil them in simple syrup. You're exchanging liquids in the candies with simple syrup, which then dries much easier and also adds a whole lot of sugar. In my own experience, when it comes to flavors in a brine, they're very minimal in their impact. It's mostly the salt. Although, at the same time, just about everyone that I would listen to as far as the cooking world would advocate for adding herbs and seasonings in there. Well, in commercial cases, it most likely is. And that's what the basic definition is. But most recipes and you listen to or read most recipes or how to do a brine, and they're throwing in peppercorns, they're throwing in maybe some thyme or some bay leaves or something along that line. Sugar does all sorts of stuff. Like salt, it can help with flavors. Not too bad. Sugar's often in there for that same reason, and there's a lot of sweetness in bacon too. You see a lot of maple, you see a lot of honey, you see a lot of... And I don't know if I'm going to use all of this topping that I made up here, but I'm going to use at least some of it. Oh, I wanted to get a spatula and get all that sugar goodness out of the pan. Bacon, if it's cured, in general, it's going to have preservatives. Either it's going to have the ones that people are saying are causing cancer, or it's going to have celery salt. And celery salt has exactly the same thing. It's just a natural version. don't want to go too thick with that, but again, not using all of that. And I am purposely going to make a little vent in the center here, just with my knife. I don't know if that was the exact center, but close enough. Okay, so do I have everything ready to go into the oven here now? I have my duck. I have my duck on sweet onion and oranges. We have that. We have bread pudding. I need to move a rack. Is this a pie? This is what I would call a crumble. There is no crust to it, to the bottom of it. The top of it is just a mixture of sugar, butter, sugar, butter, flour, and oats. You can add some maple or honey in that mix if you want, but is there anything the bacon doesn't pair with? I have thought of things in the past, and I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but there definitely are things that bacon does not go with. There's a lot of things, just adding bacon is just sort of silly. I actually heard someone the other day say that their definition, and this is someone, I don't know if they're a Twitch streamer. I saw them on YouTube. I think they're a YouTube streamer, but someone who is streaming to a millions number. Sit there and explain a Wellington as a tenderloin wrapped in bacon and then puff pastry. And the conversation then quickly moved on. No one really caught on to the fact that there is no bacon in a Wellington, in my opinion. You can add it, but it's supposed to be a mushroom duxelle. Okay, duck going in the oven, along with the crumble. And our bread stuffing. Mixed up. Bread stuffing, bread dressing. Mixed up the other night on stream. Yeah, I haven't really heard of that myself, felines. Actually, we're going to trade this and this. And turn on our potatoes to cook, both our sweet potatoes and our regular mash. Up there on the stove. Yeah, the duxelle is a traditional ingredient in it that helps with the moisture content and is traditionally a very thin layer. It's not a, like, oh, you've got this mushroom mess. It's more just a thin, maybe 1/8 of an inch coating. It's a little small for me to bother with. Yeah. Or most people would probably mistake it as being actually a part of the pastry itself, since it's sort of the intermediary layer. Thank you for the follow. Ginger, garlic, sweet onion, and corn. One of my side ideas here. Yeah, lost that little nib. I've been on a little bit of a ginger kick, actually, but I've also gone without ginger for probably 6 months or so. So it's more of a current phase. Although a lot of Asian dishes, which in influence, I'm definitely American, I'm definitely rustic American, but there's definitely some Asian influence there. Which ginger is in a lot of, at least Chinese. I advocate for locally sourced or locally butchered or small operation butchered beef. Indian food? Yep. Now, see, I sort of think of Indian food as a major blind spot in my repertoire. Like, I know some of the basics, but there's everything in India and cuisine. Like, you've got a giant country there with a whole bunch of different cultures. I love both the freshness and the spiciness or the zest of ginger. A lot of Indian stuff has to do with curries, which are essentially cooked down vegetables to the point that they are a sauce. I hate doing that with my knife. Running your knife across the board like that is very dulling to a knife. It's not good for your knife. If you'll notice, most of the time I try to put my knife down. If I'm carrying something with a knife, which I try to use my scraper much more often than my knife to move anything, I'll often put my knife down and try and move things onto my knife carefully. Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave it together for now. Mm-hmm. It's essentially butter that's been cooked a bit longer so that the milk fats or the solids of the butter can brown and become a bit nutty in flavor, and they sort of flavor the oil a bit. It's not great for high heat, but compared to butter, it is higher heat. If you get what I mean? And so people will talk about it like it's a high heat oil, but it's still a butter oil. Clarified is actually a bit better with a temperature point because it actually removes those butter solids. Or milk solids. Yep. It'll smoke, it'll start to give worse flavors. I don't know the exact point on clarified. I do know that it is considerably higher than just butter. but it's probably in the same I would say it's probably in the same ballpark of olive oil and being the 350, maybe 400. 450 sounds like it's maybe pushing it a little bit. And then like canola oils and some of the higher heat canola, sunflower, and those can go upwards 500-ish. They're somewhere in the middle, Rav. I don't know where they are. In particular. What's a garbage oil you'll never buy? Cheap extra virgin olive oil. It's fake. It's like I've said before with people have talked to me about the idea of using extra virgin olive oil for cooking. Why are you paying extra for extra virgin if you're going to cook with it? Sure you can. You just have to be aware of the effects and the fact that, you know, it may be a little bit off flavored, but people people grow up with off flavors and love them. You know, there's things in cultures that are just like rancid, but it's their culture and they've grown up with it and it is not disgusting to them. Not that I'm calling that disgusting. I'm saying I would not do it. Unless maybe I do it if I'm doing like a poach or a sous vide or something like that. But saute, high heat, grill, no thank you. I don't have it in my kitchen right now, but I typically go for sunflower and advocate for sunflower. Most of what I've read about sunflowers, it's relatively good for the environment or a non-factor in our environment. And it's got a high heat to it. And when you're doing things with high heat, it's not a flavor thing. It's high heat. It may cause off flavors with its use if it's, you know, like smoking or burning or Guy makes a nice grilled cheese. So does butter, and so does mayo. Especially if you make the mayo yourself out of some quality oil instead of the cheapest stuff available. That wasn't a very impressive sizzle. There is a bit of sizzle there, but it's not a very impressive sizzle. Let's see if we can't make that a little bit better there. Nice, Raph. My biggest problem with lamb or either lamb or goat is more with after it's been cooked and then cooled and then reheated. It does not reheat well. We were talking about someone doesn't like reheated chicken, which I think a fair number of people don't like reheated chicken. I'm generally okay with it, but I see where they're coming from in many cases. Garlic, sweet onion, salt, pepper, freeze-dried thyme, I have dances. I've actually accomplished quite a bit since then. I have since... I was saying I posted in the Discord my progress earlier. I have made a villager breeder. I've made a iron farm. I've made a cow machine after capturing all the cows. I then funneled them into the typical Minecraft cow machine. What else have I done? And I'm starting on driving a train path between my base and where the villages are so that I can get villagers to my base. Someone posted in the Discord on my end, and so we got that going on. How are we looking here? Sweet potatoes are looking cooked. How are we looking on these babies? I'm gonna call those done too. We've got that and that going with the onion. Let's turn on the flame here once again and add our corn. Just straight out of the bag. We're gonna add a bunch of moisture in here that we're gonna cook off with the ice. Yeah, let's do the whole bag in there. I've been enjoying playing Minecraft, but I do have to say that I did not really enjoy streaming at all. I found it sort of, without chat whatsoever, pressuring me whatsoever, I felt myself pressuring myself the whole time. Alright, where are we at here? Welcome back, Buns. The one that amazes me is this one, the I'm pointing at here. The main cam. That it is not delayed at all because it is on Wi-Fi. That is a Wi-Fi camera, whereas these are direct USB. I think condiment and spices. Indians love to claim that they have the claim to fame. They put the most spices in, and they do put a ton of spices and stuff. But I think it's really a matter of what spices for what culture. Like, yeah, I think you see a lot more herbage juice in other cultures. As all the Indian viewers revolt, unfollow, and leave. I don't know, what are my stats on India? Twitch gives me these. Oh wait, let's see here. It's under. %. According to Twitch, of my viewership, 69%, nice, is United States space. Canada is 8%. United Kingdom is 3. Mexico is 3. Japan is 2. Austria is 2. Germany is 1. Brazil, the rest of them are 1 or lower. I think you just made a friend with Buns dances. Oh, Bun Buns doesn't like tornadoes. I'm cooking down all that liquid from the corn being freezer burned, and just the corn itself. Most of my experiences with tornadoes were as a kid, which mostly involved evenings in the basement. Mm. And I'm going to turn the heat off on this now that this is sounding like it's drying out a bit. Add a bit of butter in there. And that is done for that. Sweet potatoes. Going to strain. Return to pan. Throw a flame on it for a quick moment while I strain the potatoes. Same thing there. And take my bottle of molasses with broken cap. Honey. And more butter. Sorry, I'm rushing a little bit right now after sitting there because now all of a sudden I have things to do. Butter. We'll mash these along with that butter. Typically you want to heat your dairy before doing this. Oh, hey. Oh, cream, why not? You just noticed the corn? That's been in there for a minute. And I go nuts because these are not cooked well enough. Dope. Really? I wasn't aware there was much in the meme world other than things involving Buckeyes. Debating what I want to do first here. I think I'm just going to have a drink of this straight first. For those who didn't see the dinner command or heard me talking earlier, I have a 10-year bottle, so not breaking the bank here whatsoever, but a nice scotch that I thought was quite amazing and was what I drank last Thanksgiving. Is there a pull tabby? There is. I was expecting to have to pull out the little foil cutter on my... Yeah, fill up the Discord. That is one thing that I did find. I know this is by far not the high, like this is the base level Scotch for them. But I am sort of put off by the color, and that plastic top just doesn't do it for me. And is my Glencairn here, or is it in the other room? I think it's in the other room. Over here, Mr. Wiggles. Over here. Wow, that's almost like clear compared to the Woodford I've been pouring lately. That is so much lighter in color. And there's still color there. It's not without wood whatsoever. But TwitchCon. Good stuff. Completely different from what I would classify for a bourbon. It still tastes, it is beautiful. It's got wonderful flavor to it. It's just a nice departure. Let's take a look at things in the oven here. Duck is looking okay. Not too shabby. Crumble I still want to give a little more time to, I think. And the stuffing, it doesn't matter. Oh, all bets were off when it came to TwitchCon. Like, I was staying in the French Quarter. Or not French, the gas lamp. Not the French Quarter. It's the French Quarter of San Diego, I'm sorry to say. But, but I had a hotel room there. And there is all sorts of bars in the gas lamp. All sorts. And all sorts of fun going on. And so, like, half of the fun of the convention was meeting and chatting with people afterwards, after everything had shut down in the evening. Because everyone was staying in the gas lamp, like, right across the street from the convention center. And it's incredibly expensive to stay there. The prices were a little elevated, but not too bad. Like, they certainly weren't, like, Strip Vegas elevated. But, like, I bought that bottle of, I want to say Four Roses, but it was, Maker's Mark, the French Oak Maker's Mark I bought down there. It was maybe $5 above average for the bottle. But if you're a local in San Diego, the pricing on parking has to be horrendous. Like, the ability to get down there has to be horrendous. Like, it is absolutely a tourist area. or tourist visitor. Oh, I have my vices. Computer games being one of them. I just I cut myself off of those when it came to trying to be serious about cooking. I'm sure we all have our vices, whether it's caffeine in coffee or many in moderation. I've done one gaming stream, Buns. Okay, 2 if you count Discord. I'm giving things in the oven a little bit longer, if you're not catching on to what's going on here. That and the potatoes didn't cook through enough for me. And so unfortunately I'm cooking the cream and butter along with them in order to get them properly cooked. I still don't think we're close. We're close. I was big into the whole Tribe series, from Star Siege Tribes on up to the most recent Tribes Ascend. There's been some attempts to make alternative, newer ones that don't seem to have really panned out. Not that Tribes Ascend really panned out either. And for years and years and years, I was royally addicted to EverQuest. EverQuest, I was in top guilds in my server. When it came to the fact that I transitioned from playing a wizard to a beast lord, I became one of the top beast lords on the server. And then, yeah, was also a guide. Did all sorts of things in EverQuest. Oh, I was technically a beta tester for 2 expansions towards what I think of the end, or at least the end of my playing the game, which was Yakisha years. Those couple expansions there just killed a lot of it. It was also around the same time that WoW was coming out and stuff, so it had a lot of stuff fighting against it right there. They even had EverQuest 2 fighting against it around that same time period too. I am not washing a thing tonight. Well, I've already washed enough for tonight. I'm done washing for tonight. But Tribes, I was really competitive about it too. And a combination of getting serious about food and what's actually largely stopped me from getting serious about any game recently. I mean, I've been playing Minecraft. I've dabbled in several games lately, but getting serious about any of it, I want to be serious about it, which is really hard to do these days with everyone else, you know, spoiling the content to the top streamers, yada yada. There's wikis out there before the game's released, and okay, so I think we are set here now. I think I am ready to try and take out this duck. Let's take a look at this duck. Let's take a look at this duck. It's looking beautiful on the outside. It is looking beautiful on the outside. Okay. Those aren't clear juices, but that is well above our cook temp. So that has certainly got a proper cook. I maybe could have gone even... Well, I certainly could have gone hotter and shorter. The longer cook that I did choose was to help render out some of the fat on that. There's that word again, render. To render some of the fat out on those duck breasts, because duck has a lot of lovely fat to it. And I lied, I'm gonna wash my cutting board that I used for it before and use that as a serving board for this. It's going for it. Where is my tongs at? So I'm going to remove the orange at this point. Add a bit of soy sauce. I almost grabbed that with my hand. That would have been a bad decision. There we have our duck. We'll let that rest. We're bringing this up to a boil. Let's give a couple of things a try here. Let's see how our taters are tasting. Probably need salt. That they do. Try our sweet potatoes. They're sweet potatoes. Those will work. Corn, I'm sure it's fine. Nice. Pull the bread pudding out. Not bread pudding, bread stuffing. Out of the oven, we'll just let that chill for a moment. I'm gonna reduce that down, see if I can't turn that into a gravy. It's already thickened up nicely, if you notice. We got a decent amount of breakdown and probably cartilage in there from that already. What am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting something here. Let's see how our crumbles is looking. There's our crumble. Going to take the neck,
And ditch that along with the offal and the spine. We're going to strain the rest of this. There's some onion here still. Whatever else I can easily take out with my tongs here. The rest of that I'm going to strain. Acid. That's from all the orange that was in there earlier. There's already a decent amount of acid in the gravy. As far as the dinner, I didn't buy any cranberry, but that would have been a good start there. And then because of the speed of it over a roux, I'll use a cornstarch slurry here on our somewhat oily gravy. And I am going to live with that, even though it's slightly broken and a bit oily. Over on our gravy side. All right, making my plate. Oh, I need to throw the squash back in for a minute. But I can make the rest of my plate while I'm waiting on that to warm back up, because it just has to warm back up. Let's take a look at this bread stuffing. See how that turned out here. See if I burnt the crap out of this or the plastic melted. There we go, folks. We still have plastic. Did stick itself to the pan pretty good. But otherwise, we're good there. That stuffing is looking great. I could throw that back in the oven a couple of times, I think, with... Well, I'm not going to say the word, but how good that's looking. It's more that I never strained the fat off of it, felines. Less that it's broken. That's why if you see a lot of, they have oil extractors, like they allow you to pour the gravy from the bottom so the oil stays in the thing. There's always going to be oil when you're making a gravy off of a jus, and most times it's fatty. So You have to take some off. Welcome, Zach. You're coming in just as we're wrapping all of this deliciousness up. I gotta cut this duck up here. Let's see what we got for a duck tonight. And then if you want to go even further, I think the wings are some of the best eating on this, so I'm going to leave the wings on the breast. Normally, I'm not a big wing meat eater. Every last little bit on these little buggers. Same with the legs. The legs and the wings are the most prized items on a piece of duck. The breast and the skin on all of it. Also, one other thing I have to make here tonight is the ice cream I prepped the other night. I need to make my cinnamon ice cream. And so we have the frozen mixture that I made before, vanilla ice cream base with a whole bunch of cinnamon in the top there. We're going to add this into my Ninja Creamy, which I'm going to have to mute chat when I run this because it is a bit noisy. Or at least mute the mics for this. So we'll mute things here. There we go. So the machine's done its thing. Turn that off. Release it from the machine. Remove it from its outer container. And maybe a bit heavy on our fat content here. But we have ice cream. We have ice cream, which, yeah, the fat content, then it's too much. I need to respin this again. it was too cold slash there's too much fat. Tasting delicious though. But we're gonna give this a second spin. While I make my savory plate. Back to mute. We back? Yeah, we're back. There we go. Ice cream time. On top of that thing with the blade. Love me a good cinnamon or churro or what have you ice cream. And maybe my favorite application is cinnamon. Here I am, going for ice cream before I even got to the duck. Nice heavy pour on that. Because it's time for me to enjoy all of this. I'm gonna throw the ice cream in the fridge, or in the freezer, to reharden slash be just perfect with serving. I've got my lovely plate here. Do a little photo time here. And I've got my dessert, which, let's see if I can't, well, I'll throw photos of the dessert in the Discord once I break into this apple crisp, which looking delicious there. Nice and lightly browned with a bit of caramel looking edging to it. Making it look like those apples are quite delicious underneath. As usual, would like to thank everyone for joining in. Happy to see everyone join in and say happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you as well. Thank you for joining in this year. I will be back here. I'm debating whether I'm gonna make a surprise appearance on Friday or Saturday here. I might do something. I don't have anything planned. My current plans that are solid is Sunday, I'm making chicken parmesan. And I hope you come back to join me for that. So maybe, not for sure, something in the next 2 days. I sort of owe everyone a stream in my mind. And yeah. Then back into, like non-traditional foods. Well, traditional, but non-traditional for seasonal foods. Thank you all for joining in. I hope you all have a lovely Thanksgiving. I hope your depression is light. Have we had anyone guide the raid tonight? Let me see who's out there on my end to see if there's someone I want to send you all off to. I think I'm gonna leave it right there, folks. No one out there screaming that I need to, that I haven't raided in somewhat recent memory. And thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a lovely holiday. I hope to see you back soon. Good night.